What is up, everybody? Welcome to Busy Sticks, the weekly talk show here from the Geekiverse, all about video games. We had a PlayStation showcase we're going to unpack and go through all the major announcements, get our reactions on that. But first, of course, I'm Josiah Leroy. With me today, Mr. John Fick. John, you are back to back here. I mean, you always have a cool t-shirt on, but we're back to back with cool concert shirts, or at least band-related shirts. What do we got there for the listeners at home?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, this is Andrew McMahon. Oh, I don't know. I'm mirrored, so I didn't know which way to go with the logo there. Yeah, Andrew McMahon. He was in town last night. Court and I went to that show. It was a blast. Town Ballroom is just the best venue ever. Like in Buffalo. I for so many years I was like not going to rock shows because I hated all the venues. I'm like, it's just so frustrating to find a spot. I always feel like I can never, I either can't see or I'm surrounded by 20 people, so I just get stressed and wasn't going to shows. I finally went to a show at Ballroom. I'm like, this place is awesome. There's space, like there's a ledge for you to like put drinks. Like it's awesome. So we had a blast at that show. My wife, being nearly 9 months pregnant, got us some better than VIP seating because she asked the security guard, like, I hate to do this. Is there a place for me to sit? I'm very pregnant. And security guard's like, yeah, come on, we'll get you a handicap seat. And your husband, he can stand behind you. So we had like the best view in the house. Literally a better view than the VIP behind us. It was awesome.
Dude, good for you guys, and good for the venue for doing that too, because like they didn't have to, right? But like, I love Town Ballroom.
Yes.
That is and has always been my favorite, bar none, venue in Buffalo. 1,000 people or less. That's a perfect setting, and it's great, John, because you don't have to, like, you can be a relatively big band to play there, or artist, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to just be at Mohawk Place where it's 200 people. You could go up to 1,000 and it still feels like this close, intimate setting.
Yes.
Like you and I went to For Your Strong and had a freaking ball.
Yeah.
Knuckle Puck played as well, a few other really good bands, but you and I just had a great spot, and then we rotated who would get the beers, and we were good.
It was awesome. Yeah,
Like,
it was a sold out show last night. Like I'm sure 4 Year Strong was probably sold out as well when we went, and it didn't feel like overcrowded. It didn't feel like I was pushing through people to try to go to the bathroom, like and trying to find our spots again. Like even just finding a spot in general, like that place is so cool. I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad that I know it, like how comfortable it is now, because I'm more inclined to go to shows than if it were somewhere else.
yeah, a really cool part of downtown. Like a lot of it. And what's nice too is it survived the pandemic. A lot of those venues did not, or they changed over and they weren't as good. So yeah, happy to hear you guys had a good time.
Sure.
So before we talk about what's in our video game systems, we want to talk about what we're going to be putting in our systems here, because there's nothing that goes better with video games. I know. You might be thinking it's Mountain Dew, maybe it's Monster. Those are fine. They're fine. But when you're like John and I, it's got to be beer. So what kind of craft beer? What does that look like? John, we'll have you go first. What is about to be in your system?
This is a new one I just picked up. I did try it already. Happy to report it's excellent. So this is like if you like pina coladas. So this is Sloop, and it's not a sour like you might think just based on the title there. It's a New England style IPA, but it has lots of peach and lots of coconut. You and I both use Untappd to like rate our beers and things like that. I was surprised at how low the review scores were on this. But everybody was talking about how there was too much coconut, and I'm like, oh, that's a positive for me. I love coconut, so I knew I was gonna like it, and I was not disappointed. It's a super good beer.
That beer stares me in the face every time I go to Wegmans or Consumers. I've got to pick it up. I'm glad that you did and you like it, because that sounds right up my alley. Obviously, love hazy IPAs, and hey, coconut's a good thing. I just need Sloop to bring back the super soft IPA.
Yeah.
That would be great. What a good value that was. So, for me, going back to my sours here, I'm always on a sour kick, but extra as we get into the nicer weather here in Buffalo, New York. I'm pretty sure the first time this brewery has made it onto the show, but Community Beer Works. So, not always the first thing that jumps off me at the shelf at the grocery store or Consumers, but this came out a few years ago. They do a new batch of it every summer or spring, I believe. And this is a goes with, or a gosa with, as they would say, mixed berry sour ale. So this is kind of a German style sour. It's got lactose in it. It's got a few things going on. It's tart, but it's also relatively light. Not terribly. It's 6.5, so it's got a good balance to it, especially for a sour. But their Gosa series can be a little bit hit or miss. This one is outstanding. They've got this and a key lime that is also good. The key lime you cannot find. It comes out, people buy it up quickly.
Well, I was gonna say that sounds good. I love key lime. I'm a big key lime pie fan. Like big when I think Froth did a key lime liquid lollipop one time. That was excellent. So I gotta find that one.
If you can get that, a lot of times you can only get it at the brewery when it comes out. Definitely do. But yeah, we got raspberry today.
Cheers, man.
buddy.
You know, speaking of beer, speaking of video games, I looked up our favorite glassware website. I was hoping maybe they did like a Star Wars Jedi Survivor or maybe even like some Zelda glasses. That is, of course, glass to mouth. They haven't put out a new glass in forever.
I know. I don't look nearly as often as I used to because they would put out new glasses every few weeks. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, so I know. I looked today. I was really hoping for Zelda. Wanted something Zelda. We just sold. The glass hutch that we have in the house. We just sold that because we're like, probably not the best thing to have a baby around. Like we have a lot more cabinet space in the house than we used to in the apartment. So we're like, move all the glasses. So I was just going through all my glassware. I kind of sparked this like, oh, what can I add to this collection now that I just moved it? And I went to the website and it was the same set of glasses that it was a few months ago the last time I looked. And what they have is a lot of new bottle openers. They've got those like really high quality bottle openers with like the wax removal teeth and stuff like that, which those are super cool, but not really what I'm looking for. I want some nerdy cool glasses.
Dude, I know. I miss it. I hope whatever's happening there, they go back to it, or at least a somewhat frequent release.
I know what happened.
I
know. Tim got into their warehouse. Tim got into the warehouse. He broke all the glasses.
He came in with a frisbee and destroyed their business. Damn it. Beautiful son of a bitch. So, honestly, it's been a while, John. The last one, or one of the last glasses, I should say, is a Cad Bane one. That's Boba Fett,
and
right?
It's still up there.
So, funny enough, I had to look up when Boba Fett came out because it's a blur in my mind. It was 2021.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's not that long ago, but at the same time, it feels like it just came out. So it's confusing to me because half of it is Mandalorian. So
Yeah, the good episodes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Glass to Mouth, please come back. We have no update for the Geekiverse Fantasy Draft. Other than John apparently taking Zelda. I don't know how that.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, I was just looking at the website and all of a sudden it was missing from your team and it's on my team. Coincidentally, I have commissioner powers. I don't see a correlation there. I'll do some investigation later. More to come.
It just slid over there. We'll have to find that out in the coming weeks. So obviously, I think people know, especially if they follow us on social media, what we're playing, what's in our system. So, John. Last episode of Busy Sticks, we talked quite a bit about Zelda and how awesome it is, but touch on where you are with that and if anything else has been able to pry you away from it at all.
Yeah, so quick update from the last episode of Busy Sticks. I did a show and tell, which was like my haul of all the Zelda things that I got for the release of Tears of the Kingdom, the special editions, the amiibo, and even the Switch console, which I got, but I kept it in the box because my promise to myself was that I was only going to open it and use it and keep it if I was able to sell my other OLED Switch. Happy to say that I sold it. It is now in a new owner's hands. I was able to get rid of it, which means that I've got my beautiful Zelda OLED. It's here. It's great. I love it so much. I wasn't like sold on the Joy-Cons when I first saw the pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, they're fine. I'm not drooling over these things. Not a big deal. The dock and like the back, however, I was a huge fan of. But when you see these Joy-Cons in person, it's like, oh, okay, that's sick. That's like the best like limited edition Switch console there has been so far. But you nailed it. Zelda has been all I've been playing, thinking about doing. I've just been playing so much Zelda. This game is so special. It's one of those things that like I'm consciously aware that I'm playing a game in which a year from now I'm gonna say to myself, man, I wish I could experience that for the first time again. And I'm conscious of that. I know I'm experiencing that. Like, it's like that quote from, like, was it Andy Bernard in The Office? Like, oh, I wish you knew the good old days, when you were in them. I know I'm consciously in the good old days, and it makes it even better. Like, it's like one of the most special things ever. The game's incredible. I'm about 30 hours in. I've got some good time put in here. I have not really been doing too much main quest stuff other than, if you're familiar with any of the names of the quests, the Dragon Tears. I highly recommend if you're playing this game, go get those dragon tears and kind of do that as your first like adventure into the main story, because it gives you so much backstory for like what's going on in the world and like the reason for the story, and it also gives you quite the awesome reward at the end of that quest. So I got all those done, but other than that, it's really just been like chipping away at shrines. You know, I almost have 3 full stamina bars. I've got like 6 extra hearts already. I've just been having the best time, and that's really all there is to it.
Yeah, and you're spot on with that hindsight there. Like I've been more conscious of that in my day to day, let alone, video games or just where I'm at in family life or work life. Like you're in the good old days. You really are. So I think that's really special to know that you're doing that right now, especially with how special that game is. For me, I've not gotten much game time at all in the last week. I've played a little Zelda. I barely scratched on the surface there in the first few hours. And then I have been plugging away pretty nicely in the few hours I've played at Jedi Survivor in my platinum pursuit. So I think I've got 7 or 8 trophies to go. I'm chipping away. I've got like almost all the collectibles. I think I'm roughly 75% of the way through the entire map with the 5 planets that we have. So really enjoying that. I love the Jedi games post beating the main story, post campaign. There's something about just walking around, having no pressure, just kind of going and doing your thing, and it's so satisfying, the lightsaber combat. I love that. I love going and just having the various battles. What makes this game even more robust than the first one is, of course, the different stances. So experimenting with those and building your skill tree on those. We were talking even pre-show and a little bit a few episodes ago. John, you did a lot of the crossguard stuff. I've gravitated towards the one I thought I never would, which is the blaster. Having the blaster and the lightsaber. I've really overpowered that thing. Like I swear I'm unstoppable with that combination. Like that has been my go-to. Having a lot of fun with it. Every time I go to a new planet, I'm changing my wardrobe. I'm changing my lightsaber color. When I'm going to like the dual lightsaber, I'm going to the white, so I'm like Ahsoka, all of it. It's just so much fun. So still having a lot of fun with Jedi Survivor. I've got probably another few weeks left before I hit that platinum, but gonna do that while I'm balancing that and Zelda.
Awesome. We've got our good friend Tim in the chat saying Zelda is so much fun. Been a while since he dusted off his Switch, and he's yet to use the blaster. Tim, I'm in the same boat. When I unlocked the blaster in Jedi, I'm like, okay, this is cool. I'm not going to use this for like my first playthrough. My plan was to do exactly what you're doing, Joe, and use that like my post game content. Like I spent so much time with my dual wield, my 2 separate blades and one in each hand, and then I used the cross guard for kind of like my heavy attacks and things like that. And I was planning on using the blaster to do all like my post game stuff. But I hope I can get back to the game. I'm sure I will. The problem is like not only did just another AAA game launch, but a AAA game with like, you talk about a game that has legs. Like Zelda is just something I'm going to be playing for months, and like I'm going to be playing it as my main game. Like a good amount of time committed per gameplay session for months is going to be Zelda. So I'm a little worried it's going to be a while before I get back to Jedi's, but we'll see. I definitely want to. I'm not sure I really, am making the goal for myself to get the platinum, because I really, I'm not too big into the platinum trophies unless it's like something like Spider-Man or Ghost or whatever. But I hope I can get back to it in general.
You know what? It'll be waiting there for you. It's okay. And you pick it up and you'll be like, hey, I love this again. The blaster for me started with, it was a trophy. Basically, if you there's a certain move you can unlock where it's a little reminiscent of Han Solo and Greedo. Like an enemy is about to attack you, and at the very last second, instead of either blocking or parrying or dodging, you hit the triangle button on the PlayStation and it fires right away, almost like under the table. And if you time it right, your enemy goes flying, and it takes at least half of their health. Like if it's a timing thing, so you got to nail it. But that was one of the trophies, and once I started doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, let's overpower this thing.
What a cool idea! Like for the parry, so like triangle should be parry for the for whatever lightsaber stance you're doing, but to have it be like an old Western like draw, right? Like how sick is that?
Yes. It's so sick. And of course, it's got like those casual nods to Han. You can have the DL-44 blaster, all the pieces of it to make it look like Han's blaster. Oh, it's so cool. And of course, in the deluxe edition, you got the smuggler's outfit. So that's kind of what I've been rocking a little bit. That with a blue lightsaber, because I was like, hey, Han held that blue lightsaber at one point. It's just these crazy things I think of. So having fun with both of those games, of course, but we're going to get to the meat of the show here today. Of course, at the end, we're going to play our favorite game, which is Guess the Game. John and I both in the last 2 weeks getting it in the nick of time right there on the last question. You can check out some of that content, of course, at youtube.com/thegeekiverse. I also got some cool stuff going on TikTok these days, courtesy of John there. But before we do that, we're going to break down the PlayStation Showcase. We're going to get to not every announcement, but we'll buzz through some of those. We'll talk about some of the higher points. But first off, before we do that, John, why don't you give us your reaction to this, the 101? How did you feel PlayStation performed in this showcase this week?
Yeah, we talked a lot about this like off air and some of our chats. I even made a TikTok about this very topic. I think that there was a good case to make that this was one of the most hyped, highest expectations video game conferences of all time. And I'm not, there's been video game conferences that we look back on, like, E3 2016 for Sony, things like that. There's some banger Nintendo Directs out there, and we look back on those as some of the best ever because they had so much awesome stuff. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they were the most anticipated or they had the highest expectations, right? The expectations have never been higher. And there's a couple of reasons there. First, the first two PlayStation showcases we've gotten have been those shows. They have been those 10 out of 10. Holy crap, PlayStation has brought it, and they have showed us that this is what a PlayStation showcase is and will be from here on out. And second, it just made sense timing-wise for all of these PlayStation studios that we just don't know what they're working on. Or if we do know what they're working on, we haven't seen it in a while. So you take those two things there, and you're like, man, add to the fact that they always get these awesome third-party relationships to show up at these shows. All of the biggest third-party announcements happen on the Sony stage these days. Take those three factors, and like, what is there not to be hyped about? Why would you not have your expectations through the roof, right? That's not our fault. That's just the precedent that's been set, right? So all of that into account, showcase happens yesterday. Disappointed for sure. Absolutely have to say that I'm disappointed. Remove myself from that a little bit. Was it a good showcase? Yeah, it was. It was a good showcase. There was really nothing in there. Like, it was paced fine. It was like there was a bunch of really cool, interesting games. We got to see the one that we all really needed to see and wanted to see, which was the big breakdown of Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2. That was an expectation. I don't think we expected that to be the biggest thing that we saw. I don't think we expected them to close the show with that because, that's a known quantity. So we expected a lot more. The good news is all of those things that we expected, they're still coming because it's not like we were like, theorizing and we had these grand hopes, right? These are all things that have to happen. The Sony first party studios, they're working on something. It's just unfortunate that we didn't get to see them. They weren't ready to be shown. Kind of makes you question, why do we have a PlayStation showcase if that was the case? Do you maybe just do a state of play centered around Spider-Man and show us that Spider-Man stuff? Maybe they just had so many third-party things to show that they had to put one together. But overall, yeah, based on the pedigree of what a PlayStation showcase has been those first two times around, this was disappointing.
I think it is. I think you nailed it. This was disappointing, and it's fair to be disappointed. I don't feel like people ran crazy with expectations just because. I think there was a lot of logic there. Like you said, there's a lot of first-party studios. We know they're working on some things. We haven't seen some of those things yet. There's been a little bit of a lull. I mean, granted, we just got God of War. But that being said, we 99% knew we were getting Spider-Man. I cannot believe we got nothing Last of Us at all.
Yes, this Last of Us multiplayer game, we've known about this since before the launch of The Last of Us Part 2, which was 2020. We knew that was going to be split off into a separate project, and that was going to be a full-fledged game. It was teased last year at the Game Awards, and we were told, hey, or was it Summer Game Fest, whenever it was teased last year. It's like, more to come next year. This is next year. We get the big PlayStation showcase, and that game's not here.
That one hurt. I'm very surprised we didn't see that. There was a few other things that I think were I don't know if it was pie in the sky or whatnot, but we didn't get them. Even the Metal Gear thing, that was kind of heavily rumored and all but confirmed. So still pleasant to see. But even I gotta say, John, the Spider-Man finish, roughly 15 minutes or so, the game looks good. But we didn't even get a date. We just have a fall 2023, which we kind of already knew still. I think
that
It was
just
disappointing.
yeah, I agree. And that specific point leads me more into the question. It's like, all right, they came out with a blog post after, and they said like, we promise we really are still on track for fall 2023. Things are going well. We're just not ready to commit to a date yet because like we have to be sure. And I get that. So why do this? And like that's where I'm like, part of me is, did they have inked deals with Square Enix to show off Final Fantasy 16? Did they have a deal in place with Konami to make sure they showed off Metal Gear Solid Delta, whatever the Metal Gear Solid, what's it? What's the title for 3?
Snake Eater.
Snake Eater Delta is what they're calling it. Yeah, did you have deals inked where you had to show those off in a showcase? Because that's how this stuff works for a lot of times. They have this stuff ahead of time. Did they think that they'd have more to show, so they were confident and things kind of just slipped? Maybe. It's just a bummer that that's kind of the case. I will say, call me a PlayStation fanboy. I'm disappointed in the show, but like, man, my hopes are still. It hasn't hurt my hopes for the future of PlayStation in the future of PlayStation first party studios. It's not like we saw stuff we were disappointed. We were just disappointed that the stuff wasn't ready to be shown, right? So, like you said, it's valid to be disappointed from this showcase.
I don't think this didn't damage the brand, right? Like PlayStation has built up so much cachet, especially since 2016. Like they have not really missed. This is a bit of a miss, but this is not something where I'm like, all right, let's go Xbox, because what are we talking about there?
Right.
But speaking of Xbox, if I think I might have said this in one of our chats, this was very much an Xbox game press conference. A lot of stuff where I was like, oh, okay, that seems super cool. I'm probably never going to play it. Like, I'm like 90% of these things I'm never going to play, even though I thought they look cool. And what is that? That's Xbox and that's Game Pass to me.
It's a B at best. Like, that's how many times have we talked about it? We grade these showcases. We talk about scores. Xbox just always comes away with a B. And like, we're really not used to these Bs from Sony. Like, when we first got the first PlayStation showcase, when it was the PlayStation 5 showcase in 2020, like they blew us out of the water. We got the Miles Morales surprise that coming this year. The next one comes, we get Spider-Man 2, we get Wolverine, we get insane Ragnarok, like all like tons of awesome announcements that I'm forgetting, like just bangers of showcases. So this precedent has been set. So the expectation, that's the biggest thing. It's really, if we didn't have this expectation, if this precedent wasn't there, and if the puzzle pieces didn't make so much sense, we know that Bend Studios, Sony Bend, is working on another game. They're not going to go away, right? They're working on something. We know that Sucker Punch is working on something. It's probably Ghost of Tsushima 2. So like that stuff's happening. It's not like there's nothing to be disappointed about in the future of those projects and what's going to happen. It's just a bummer we didn't see them.
Part of it is being spoiled by this run of first-party Sony games since 2016's announcement. Like, my gosh. Even the third-party stuff, like Crash Bandicoot being on that stage. But we got Spider-Man, we got God of War, we got Ghost. You just go down the list, and it's just, I think that's where I'm at. So
you and I both did 5 predictions. We didn't do this on proper content with like the YouTube and Busy Sticks, but we did this on TikTok. Are you the only one who got one right with Alan Wake 2 being there? Was that the only correct? I know you had a release date you were off on, but like,
so my first, some of it was low hanging fruit, some of it was off the wall. I said Spider-Man would be announced for this fall, and then I got picky and said September 15th. Could be a thing, but it was not announced. So anyway, we got fall. We know that. I said Alan Wake was coming because Remedy has been doing their thing with PlayStation. So at least we got that. And I said October 13th. We got October 17th. What the hell? October 13th.
You're in the week.
The 13th.
Yeah, right.
Friday the 13th for a horror game.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Remedy, what are you doing? Okay.
Some studios love that Tuesday date. Some love that Friday date. It's,
I so many have pivoted to Fridays. That's what I was banking on. But hey, whatever. I out of nowhere, I said we were going to get a Spyro the Dragon game, which I'm kind of surprised we haven't yet. Seeing how Crash did the same thing. That was the template where we brought back the Insane Trilogy remake, and then we got Crash Bandicoot 4. But one day. And then, oh gosh, I said we were going to get an update on Star Wars, the Quantic Dream game, which,
yep.
No.
I think that's is
And
that
Final
5?
Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
Oh
I'm a
yes.
little surprised we got nothing on that. However, we are just so close to Final Fantasy 16, so I get it.
Makes sense. It does make sense. So yeah, so you got one, I would say, there with the Alan Wake 2. And I had 0. So my first one was an absolute pie in the sky. Like, didn't truly think it was going to happen, but wanted to get the hype out there. I said a new Uncharted game developed by somebody other than Naughty Dog. I threw out Blue Point because we know they're working on something. We've heard rumors that it's not a remake; it's an original game. So that would be an interesting one now that they're an official Sony studio. My next one was Team Asobi, a full-fledged Astrobot game. Yeah, their next project. I said it's an Astrobot game. It's not VR. It's a $60-$70 title. It's a full-fledged platformer. Nothing from Team Asobi. Fourth one was a major Sony first-party IP was coming to PlayStation VR. So we would get kind of like Horizon Call of the Mountain. We would get another phase of that. My gut told me it was going to be a God of War. Got nothing there. We got a couple of VR titles, but nothing nearly of the pedigree that I was kind of fishing for there. I said that Sony Bend would show a new IP. Nothing from Sony Bend, and I'm missing one of mine. I forget what my 5th one was.
Ghost 2.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima 2?
Yes.
Okay. There it is. That was the 5th one.
I thought you were gonna nail at least a few of those. I obviously nice wish list. I was stoked if any of those would become true, but I really thought you had at least 3. I was like, oh my gosh, the Uncharted thing,
Oh, cool.
the VR thing. It's gonna be just a quick. Think about it. Think about throwing the Leviathan axe.
Yeah, and then using the Blades of Chaos with the tooth. Oh my god,
right, whipping them around, dude. Oh my gosh, that is a surefire thing that should happen. You want to sell VR units? Get that out there right now. 3-hour game, even. Just do it.
Right.
And then I thought you were on to it with, you know what? I thought you were spot on with Ghost and also with Astro. We're almost 3 years removed from the release of the PS5. How many people freaking love that game?
Yes, dude.
Get the money behind it. Release a game, you know? Yeah. Oh, man.
You know what?
I thought you were going to be there.
I was hoping so. You know what? I was ready to go for my 5th one, but I backed out on it last moment. I'm like, I'm not going to say it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I was ready to talk about the what did end up happening, which is announced as PlayStation Project Q, the streaming handheld. I was gonna say that because that was rumored a month ago that Sony was working on a streaming only handheld, and I was fully bought in. There was a lot of people that's probably just a prototype that's never gonna see market. I don't know about that. I'm like, I totally could see 2023 PlayStation doing that, and I was gonna talk about that, and I didn't, and of course they announced it.
It's all good, man. It was a tough go for us, but hopefully. And I'm sure some of these predictions will come true just at some point down the road. Why don't we get to the showcase? We'll kind of break down some of the announcements. John, I'm actually going to pass it over to you because I think there's more games you want to talk about, at least off the get-go, than I do. And if I have something to say, I'll just kind of jump in.
For sure. Yeah, I've got everything listed out here, but I'll kind of just hop through what I feel like I want to talk about. So first thing is a new IP and a new game, and it's a Sony first party studio. It was a relatively new acquisition from Haven Studios. We knew Sony was going to be getting into this games as service. They purchased Bungie, they purchased Haven Studios. They talked about how live service multiplayer games is a new pillar of the PlayStation brand in the future. So we knew something was coming, and we have Haven Studios. We get an announcement. I think it's Fair Games. I think it's plural, but the S is a money sign, or maybe it's just Fair Game with a money sign at the end. I don't know. It looks like Cyberpunk meets Payday. That's the best way, or Cyberpunk and Watch Dogs and Payday all together. It's this online heist game. There's hacking, and there's cyberpunk-esque visuals and stuff like that. Awesome concept, really cool trailer. I don't know that I'll ever dive in. I have to kind of, with these game of service, with these online games, I really need to understand the gameplay loop. I need to figure out if it's something that is going to click for me. Remains to be seen, but a cool way to start the show. It was a new IP.
John, I legitimately at different times, because it was a lengthy intro, thought it was, I was like,
Watch Dogs?
Watch Dogs?
Yep.
For real? And then I was like, oh, Cyberpunk DLC, here we go. Nope, not at all. But I gotta say, surprised they did not start off this showcase with something like Spider-Man,
I know.
something that we were going to get hyped on quickly. This was fine, but this was not the slam dunk I expected.
No, this was not the cold open, drop everything and set the tone for the showcase that I was hoping it would be. In retrospect, it set the tone for the showcase, what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Second one I think was also pretty cool. Helldivers 2, Arrowhead Studios. It's being published by PlayStation, so this is a first party game. This is a PlayStation Studios published game. They don't own Arrowhead Studios, but PlayStation was heavily involved with Helldivers. The first one, it was a PlayStation Vita game, also on PS4. It was one of the first free PlayStation Plus games. A lot of people checked it out because of that. Helldivers was cool. I played it a lot in my Vita. I just messed around with it. The first one was like a top-down shooter, and there was a lot of like ship mechanics and stuff like that. This is like a full-on, like they've really scaled this up. This is like a third-person action shooter at this point. I think this has potential to be a pretty big title for them. We haven't seen Sony really put out a shooter in a while, so to partner up with Arrowhead and take a game that they've had success with in the past, I think Helldivers 2 could be pretty cool. Immortals of Avium. The only reason I even want to talk about this one is because EA is kind of doing some cool stuff again. I'm kind of like at the point where EA was the butt of everybody's joke for a while. They were like the money grab. They were kind of like the example of what not to do for a publishing studio. They've been slowly putting out some really cool stuff, not to, the least of which being Jedi Survivor and, Jedi Fallen Order, things like that. This game looked pretty cool. It's like a magic-based hero shooter, and it's an indie. It's an EA original. I love to see stuff like that. Ghost Runner 2 from 505 Games, being published by them. One More Level as a developer. People love Ghost Runner. I didn't play it. I played Neon White, which was like a very similar. You played some Neon White too, right? Similar style, similar vibes, like speed running, speed running, slashing, stuff like that. Music involved. I think this has potential to be a pretty big game because people like the first one, and it seems like the budget is really behind the second one.
Dude, that is a game, Ghost Runner, that just doesn't go away. That is always popping up on my dashboard on PlayStation. I have a review code for it for Xbox Series X that I never played, unfortunately. But like that's a game that I felt like picked up steam over time. And last night, watching this showcase, that was the first Helldivers, but like this was a recognizable name, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like a nice sequel. So
yeah, and especially after playing Neon White, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this gameplay. I really that game really got its teeth into me. So we'll see. Next thing I want to talk about is Foam Stars. Can we talk about Foam Stars for a second by Square Enix, dude? Like, first we're like, what is going on? What is this game? And then like it's very clear that this is a Splatoon knockoff. Like this is just a straight up oh, Splatoon is successful. Let's do a Splatoon. So this is like a Splatoon with foam instead of paint. I mean, interesting. There's some cool gimmicks. Like you have to cover the map in foam, but you can also like surf on the foam, which is kind of sweet. I don't know.
It looks fine. Like it's fun. Hey, we have Splatoon, but it's about time someone tries to replicate it. So
for sure, exactly.
Okay,
Splatoon's never coming off of Nintendo's hardware, right? So let's see if we can get something fun. I'm all for fun, new ideas on multiplayer games like this. I'm just worried that they don't have the support and they're not going to get the support it needs. Like my number one example is Knockout City. Knockout City was so good. I played so much Knockout City. It was an EA original. The numbers fell off really quickly, and then they just canceled it. They just stopped support. I don't think they shut the servers off, but like basically it's done. The game's done. It's dead. Like that's what worries me about something like this is like it'll probably have a strong opening weekend. People are going to play it a lot on Twitch, and then like the numbers are really going to dive off and they're just going to abandon it. That would be unfortunate, but that's probably what's going to happen.
I agree. I hope it doesn't, but it probably will.
New trailer for The Plucky Squire. That game looks super cool. That's a Devolver published game. Like a really, really cute art style. Interesting stuff there, but we've seen that before. The next real big one was Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. Delta is what they're calling it. So Joe, you and I were in the same boat here. We've never touched a Metal Gear game, right? We've never really did. You had Ground Zeroes, which was the prequel game to the Phantom Pain, which counts. Yep. But we've never really dived into any of the major ones, the Metal Gear Solid games that people seem to love. So this is exciting. I'm definitely going to give it a try. This has been the console generation of remakes that have gotten me into new franchises, whether it be like, the RE2s, the RE4s, the Dead Space, stuff, not Dead Space. Dead Space. Yes, Dead Space.
Yep. I am really excited for this, and I've always wanted to get into Metal Gear. I'm surprised I didn't dive into the Phantom Pain. I have it. I feel like on at least 2 consoles right now, just from subscriptions and things like that. But this is one I'm real into. I'm really excited to go into it. The trailer was fun enough. Max Schofield Scoville, I'm sorry, wrote an article on IGN. He's a huge Metal Gear fan. That's his bread and butter, and he's kind of funny in how he talks and in how he writes. And he talked about why this is the perfect dive-in point for the series, because even though it's technically Metal Gear Solid 3, like it's the first one in the timeline. So it's like Star Wars Episode 1 at this point. Like it's the first one. That doesn't always matter to me. This could have been in the middle of the series. I just want to play a good video game, especially a good AAA game based on a very, very famous IP. So I can't wait for this whenever it comes. I know we didn't really get any sort of information on when it's coming, but could you see this being next year, maybe 2025? Like, how far off do you think we are?
I think next year. I think next year is a pretty safe bet. I don't know if you show it, if it's not even like somewhat ready, coming along pretty well. I would hope fall of next year, but what do I know? I don't make games.
I hope that's the case. That'll be a day one for me. That'll be my dive-in point to that. We also, John, moving to the next one, we got the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, Volume 1. So
that's 1, 2, and is it 1, 2, and 3? I forget actually.
I don't think it's 3 because Snake Eater is 3. I think it's maybe one of the PSP games.
Oh, okay. Maybe Tactics or something like that.
I couldn't tell you which one it is without looking at it again, but that's not really going to be like those won't be remakes. Those will be just like touch-ups, high res, right? Like I don't know that I would play those.
It is 3. It's Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater.
Is it really? That's so bizarre.
Isn't that crazy? Weird.
It's such a Metal Gear thing.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna
Is Kojima
there? Right, seriously. Yeah, they announced this huge from the ground up remake, and then they're giving you a port of it as well.
Rebuy the port.
Yes.
And then also do the remake. So that's fine. You know what? Metal Gear fans will pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a collection. So if you want to play 1 and 2 to get ready for 3, well, they just packed in the old version of 3 there for you, which I'm sure will be part of the price for it as well.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, anyway, I'm super stoked for Metal Gear. Finally feel like I'll be a part of it. I'm going back to Death Stranding at some point, Tim. I promise. It's on my list. I made a list in my phone. That's where I'm going. I'm going to try that again. And then
I think that might be a Steam Deck game for me. I think that I could see myself putting more time putting any time into Death Stranding on Steam Deck. And I think that's in our shared library from our good friend Tim. So that might be something I do.
Yeah, I agree. Final Fantasy 16?
That's the next one. I'm interested in Final Fantasy 16. So the preview embargo lifted a couple of days ago, sometime last week, I want to say, and some of my people that I respect and people whose opinions I kind of align with in terms of taste in the industry are really digging it. They think it's more of a third person action game. Seemingly than like a deep RPG. Obviously, it's going to have its Final Fantasy RPG elements, but people are saying the gameplay is great, and it's a really cool new entry in the series. I kind of like the medieval vibe. I was getting a lot of like Game of Thrones comparisons in terms of like the way the story is structured. What people have been talking about. So I'm interested. That trailer was fun. The game looks fun to play. I can't guarantee that I'm going to dive in, but it's something I'm open to for sure. Next, this is yours. We got Alan Wake 2. Tell me about Alan Wake 2.
Dude, yeah, not surprising, of course. Like I said in our prediction video, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm just so excited that this game exists. Like, this is a favorite game of mine. I love Alan Wake back in 2010 on the 360. I love playing the remake, really the up-res a few years back. But this one, man, cannot wait to dive into. We're pivoting a little bit. Remedy's got kind of this connected universe. We'll see how that goes. I'm not totally sold on that yet. But between Control, Alan Wake, and a few other things, they want those to overlap. But as a standalone property, I love the trailer we got here. We knew this was going to dive a little bit more into the horror genre than just I don't even know how you describe it before. Maybe
detective,
the mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, more jump scare, whereas this looks more like, hey, there might be werewolves, like things like that. So looks like there's another protagonist, which is really cool. Not sure who that is. That character, there's a female that they showed. Alan Wake looks better than he's ever looked on screen. Of course, you get producer Sam Lake right there. He's the guy behind Remedy Games. He shows up in the trailer right away. So, um, uh, again, I can't believe we're finally getting Alan Wake 2. This has been on my wish list since the first game came out 13 years ago. So that coming out in October, that's probably, well, I mean, Spider-Man, yes. But other than Spider-Man, this is a big fall game for me. Cannot wait to play it.
I'm hyped for this too, dude. That trailer really got me excited. That gave me some, like, I don't even know what vibes, but just yeah, like a AAA horror detective mystery game. Like, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. It looks super good. Again, I've never touched Alan Wake. I don't know if I should try the first one or if I should maybe just like watch a story recap and dive into the second one. I haven't decided yet. What do you think?
Oh man. At the very least, you need to do a story recap
Oh
because
yeah,
the
for sure.
storytelling is outstanding. Uh, I have it on Series X. That might be a good reason for you to dive into that. You could try it right away and see how it feels. I think playing that remaster a few years ago, it was 2021 now. It's a fine game. Like it feels like it belongs on this generation, but only slightly. Like it was a game made in 2010. So yeah, I think it might be worth trying. If it doesn't resonate with you, drop it, go watch the story, and definitely play Alan Wake 2.
Yeah,
I
it's my
I
vibe.
I think that's the way to go. But I think that might have been the best trailer of the presentation. At least that was my most exciting one. Even the way that it wraps up and they go, "What's your name?" And he doesn't say it, but Alan Wake 2 pops up on screen. Dude, there's just enough campiness in this. Just enough in this franchise where I think it'll speak to you if nothing else from our love of games like Until Dawn or maybe The Quarry. Like there's just a touch of that in there where it's like I want to play this in the 2 weeks leading up to Halloween. Like I
Yes.
want to have a campfire. Let's freaking go.
That's yes. I'm so down. I'm with you, man. That might be like my biggest, unknown announcement. That, like, again, even though I knew this game was coming, to see it and, like, and to get kind of I don't know, just like teased with the vibe of the game, that might be like what I'm most excited for from this press conference as well, other than Spider-Man. But that's like literally just has to go without saying because that game is going to be incredible, and that gameplay trailer was awesome. We'll get to that.
It's Purifier for sure.
So yes, very excited for Alan Wake 2. One of those things where happy for you because I know you're such a fan of the first game. But like, yeah, I think I'm gonna hop in with you and give this one more than a try. I'm gonna play this for sure. Cool. Next one I want to talk about is Ultros. So this is what Sony describes it as: a psychedelic sci-fi side scroller. Psychedelic sci-fi side scroller. That's a tongue twister right there. It's one of the coolest looking like art style, small scale like indie games I've seen in a while. This one really spoke to me. The art style is like this almost like stained church glass looking kind of vibe. But like very psychedelic and almost like watercolory too. It's a brand new studio. It's Haddock Studio. So they just formed. I think that they're backed by, who was it? They're backed by somebody bigger. I totally forget. I was reading about it earlier, but this game looks fun. I'm all for like those really stylized, whether or not they're platformers or whatever, but those super stylized indies that like are getting a good first party push. I think that this could be something like a Celeste or The Messenger, where like it really is it's going to hit home for a lot of people. Hopefully me. Ultros,
Definitely
it's called.
got Celeste vibes there from what I was seeing. But if we could take a step back real quick, I got to say, John, Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Oh, was that before it? Oh, I totally missed that. Yep, my bad.
All good. Two of my most anticipated for the year were back to back here, which is crazy. And they come out within 5 days of each other, which is problematic. But longtime Assassin's Creed fan here. I've trailed off and not been a day one guy on this series and its inevitable annual release for years. The RPG, kind of the bigger scale Assassin's Creed games, they're hit or miss with me. Origins, I thought, was not good. I thought it was a big game for the sake of being a big game. The
Odyssey
follow-up, Odyssey,
I liked
I thought
Odyssey.
was outstanding.
Yeah, loved
Like
Odyssey.
that was really good. And I did not play. Oh my gosh, the
Valhalla.
Viking one, Valhalla. So it's on my shelf. I just haven't played it. Mirage is what I want. It's what the series began as, and I'm not
Okay.
saying that they shouldn't evolve, but this looks almost like a soft this looks like Force Awakens to me, where it was like, hey, this is new, but it's really calling back to a lot of what you fell in love with when you saw Star Wars: A New Hope. So this looks like Assassin's Creed 1, 2, or Brotherhood, or Revelations, or even 3. This is a smaller scale game, a shorter game, not any sort of RPG elements. It's all stealth. It's all assassin. It's all running around, hiding, running on rooftops, parkour, all that cool stuff. I bet you this is a 10 to 12 hour campaign at best with minor side stuff. And we know the price point. So this is a $49.99 game instead of your typical $69.99 now. So I love this so much. It's so self-aware. Ubisoft said we're going to create this small scale experience that ties into the what made you fall in love with it in the first place. But we are also going to work on these big RPG like Assassin's Creed games. I'm fine with that. Give me both, right? Like I probably won't do the RPG ones as much, but I'm really excited about this. Maybe almost as excited as Alan Wake, which is saying a lot.
Awesome. As somebody who has never really resonated, there's a very loud car outside my house. If that, did you hear that? I don't know if it's gonna come through on the podcast, but man, I'm on Sheridan Drive, and there's like a straightaway stretch right here, so sometimes people just fly down it, and that's what that was. As somebody who's never really resonated with the traditional Assassin's Creed games, I tried a few times. I tried the first one, I played a couple hours of it, wasn't my jam. I tried again with 3, wasn't really my jam, and I kind of shelved Assassin's Creed and like wasn't interested in it again until Odyssey. Odyssey was the one where I'm like, you know what? People are kind of digging this RPG, this thing. I think I got it on sale or something like that. It actually might have been a Christmas present, actually. And I really enjoyed Odyssey. I had a lot of time in that world. I thought that like that was a good one of those good sandboxes where it's like, all right, I'm enjoying doing all this like random side shit. Like I like just kind of killing time as whoever the awesome female protagonist was. I forgot what her name was. Dude, she was such a so cool. She was Wonder K, starts with a K. She's Wonder Woman, basically. She's Wonder Woman.
She was very much that like could have been played by Gal Gadot.
Right.
Absolutely.
She was awesome. I had a blast. Man, I just had her name on the tip of my tongue again.
I don't want to look it up. I want to like figure this out. What
Dang
the heck
it.
is her name? Was it Cassandra? No.
It was Cassandra. It was. With a K.
Was it?
Yeah, right? It was Cassandra with a K?
All right, now I'm looking it up.
I think you got it. I think you got it.
Assassins.
Because you could have been the guy or the girl, and for sure it was the girl, because she was just a badass.
It was Cassandra.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, she was really cool.
Super cool. Super cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I thought like picking her and having the brother be like kind of with the antagonist or whatever made more sense, like because that character was interesting. I'd watched some cutscenes just to see how it went the other way around. I'm like, Cassandra as kind of this cocky antagonist isn't really working for me. And maybe it's because I had
she's the heroine.
Yeah,
she's the
for sure. Okay, so that was kind of like the first time Assassin's Creed resonated with me. But on the flip side, I do like those shorter experiences. I do like those linear narrative games. So I'm totally ready now that I have a little bit of appreciation for Assassin's Creed. Totally ready to kind of go back to that original formula, play one of those shorter games, 10 to 12 hours. Dude, sign me up. How many? Dude, I would buy so many more games and play so many more games these days if they were 10 to 12 hours.
I don't know that, but like I have to believe, especially with the price break, that is going to be a 10 to 12 hour game. Like it has to be.
Yeah.
And I got to say, they were so good back in the day in those early games, the first 4 or 5 games. This became like Call of Duty. It was annualized. But those first games, it was so good with the gameplay. So this, in my opinion, will be more gameplay focused as opposed to RPG and story focused. But that's fine because it was so good. So hopefully it scratches that surface.
Very excited to try that one out. We saw Street Fighter 6. I'm sure people are going to be excited for that. If you like fighting games, that's not my thing. Dragon's Dogma 2. That seems like it's a big deal for some people. We saw Five Nights at Freddy's. Resident Evil 4 VR. We knew this was coming. This was announced a while ago, but to see it and to just kind of accept the fact that some people are going to experience that. Yeah, that's going to be a lot. I will say that RE4, I want to say I'm like 80% of the way through that game. Jedi Survivor came out and abruptly stopped my playthrough of that. I will get back to it. I'm finishing that game. I'm going to be able to talk about the end of that game for my game of the year list because I really, really do like it. It's not
am an hour into it.
Brutal.
Because Jedi, yeah.
Because for sure. It's not the scariest. It's not RE2 or it's not RE7. It's not that. So like, it's not going to be as crazy, but still, any Resident Evil game in VR, man, like you're a brave soul. I would try it for sure. I just don't know if I could sustain that for this game's long too. RE4 is like 20 hours plus. 17 to 20 maybe, something like that. I've probably got 15 hours into it, and I'm probably, like I said, maybe 75-80% of the way through the game. So wild. This was the whole VR segment in general. So we got some VR games: Arizona Sunshine 2, Crossfire, Sierra Squad. So Crossfire, was it like Crossfire 0 Hour maybe? Like that was like the standard VR shooter. People really seem to like Crossfire, so to get the sequel, pretty cool. Synapse, don't know much about that. Don't even really recall the trailer. But Beat Saber, the fact that you had to have Beat Saber be an announcement is kind of baffling. The fact that you launched PSVR 2 and Beat Saber wasn't even freaking available, let alone pre-installed, because like it's Beat Saber, it is VR. Good news is it was available right away, so that's good to know.
And the Queen soundtrack was pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
That's not a thing already. I don't know.
I don't think it is. I think that was an announcement. It was.
Even just watching that had me really engaged. I will say that, even though it's Beat Saber.
Yes, for sure. And like Beat Saber has always been the reason I kind of want a PlayStation VR, right? So like I already knew that I kind of wanted a PlayStation VR for Beat Saber. Nothing else in the VR segment has like moved the needle at all for me.
Yeah. Same.
Interesting one. We've got a new Bungie game. It's not Destiny. So it's called Marathon. It's this like arena shooter, kind of, a la Halo, Quake, like, PvP arena style shooter. Super stylized. We learned from our video game chat that this is apparently like a revitalized old project that was supposed to come out on like Mac OS back in the day. I have not really looked into that. But apparently this property has existed, and this was either a game that had already come out back in the day or something that was like shelved or whatever. I don't know the history. I didn't look into it. But apparently Marathon has existed and has been a Bungie thing in the past. But looked cool. I mean, like super, it's awesome to see that this is the third project I've ever known of Bungie to be working on in history, right?
And it looks very much in the vein of a Halo or Destiny. It's very on brand for Bungie. This was the big surprise for me. I remember seeing this, not totally being enamored by the trailer, but seeing
the Bungie logo.
Being like, what?
That was the pop.
What are we doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where it's like they show you this interesting thing, and then this is why you're paying attention, because it's Bungie.
Yes. So for what it's worth, that was a big deal there to see Bungie with a new IP, because you had Halo forever. Destiny has been a thing since, oh my gosh, 2013, 2014 now. So like
crazy
that's
to
been
think.
Yeah, we're going on 10 years of that. It's been their life. So curious to see what this looks like. But they're 2 for 2, right? And in these long running IPs, we'll see what happens.
Was the original Destiny on 360 and PS3? Was it cross generation?
Yeah, it was an Xbox One release. Or PS4, but it was also on those.
Isn't that crazy to think about? Destiny.
It's so crazy.
Destiny was playable on the Xbox 360.
To think I could boot up my 360 and play that game, or at least could have at the time, is insane. Like,
wild.
It doesn't make sense.
And we're on the PS5 and we're on Destiny 2 right now. Credit to Bungie for when they came out and said that we have this 10-year vision for Destiny. It ended up, including a sequel, which is, it makes sense. You have to kind of push the engine and push the hardware, but like, yeah, you nailed it. It's 2023. That's 10 years, and that game is still getting content. That was the next.
I can't believe that it happened.
Yeah,
because I was like, yeah, it's Bungie. They could probably coast through 5 years, but here we are. And Destiny 2, what a comeback! I know we've talked about this before, but my gosh, that game was lukewarm out of the gate. It was dead.
It had its ups and downs throughout the whole time too.
Yes, they did their own thing. They broke off from Activision, and that's when that project flourished. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
John, we got some more Destiny 2 stuff coming.
We do, yeah. So the next expansion coming August of this year is called The Final Shape, apparently. As somebody who doesn't play Destiny much these days, it's more Destiny. I'm happy. I'm happy it's here. It looked cool. It looked fun. Nothing stands out to me as a non-Destiny player, but I'm sure those folks who are grinding their light levels and all that stuff are pumped about it.
And Nathan Fillion, right?
Yeah, but isn't he like always around in Destiny? Or is that
I feel like I read that he was gone for a while and is back now. So I could be totally wrong on that, but
same here? Also,
always good to hear his voice.
could be wrong about
cool.
that. Well, welcome back, Mr. Fillion. So Bungie had their little 2-game showcase there. Next we got a couple of hardware announcements. Jim Ryan came back out, kind of winding down the showcase. That's when my heart kind of sunk, and I'm like, shit, man, this is like really over.
Dude,
like
I was like, no.
Yeah, I know. I'm like
you're playing with your friends, you're having a good time, and then you see your mom or dad, and you're like, no.
Yep. Mom pulls in the driveway. It's like, oh man, sucks.
I got 20 minutes at best. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
We didn't even get to play that. We didn't even get to play the good games yet. We didn't even break out, the fun stuff. And they did not really break out the fun stuff. So Jim Ryan comes back out and he talks a little bit about hardware. So we saw something called the Project Q, which is PlayStation's next handheld. Don't get too excited because it is a streaming only handheld. I made a TikTok about this today because I was actually getting a little annoyed with some of the reactions to it. Like some gamers and they're like, oh my God, the Steam Deck is triple the power and the ROG Ally has a 120 refresh rate and like a bigger screen. I'm like, take a step back. Like, I know you might be disappointed that this is not PlayStation's next handheld, but it's not obviously supposed to compete with the Steam Deck or the Switch or the ROG Ally. This is a PlayStation 5 accessory. This is for you to own if you have a PlayStation 5 and if you have a use case where you want to play your PlayStation away from your TV. Maybe somebody else has it, maybe you're watching a show with the wife, maybe the wife is watching her own show, or maybe you're in bed and you want to grind away, you want to play some PlayStation. It makes so much sense for them to do this. It makes so much sense. Can you already do this on a lot of other devices? Sure. First-hand experience, remote play on PlayStation has been okay at best. I was just doing it on my Steam Deck. I was playing some Jedi Survivor when that game was just out. I was laying in bed. I'm like, kind of not that tired. And I'm like, you know what? I got my Steam Deck right next to my nightstand. I'm going to remote into my PlayStation. I want to see what this is like. I want to just go try to find some chests or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I could see this being a thing that I do. Remote playing is viable, but this experience isn't that great on this hardware I'm using it with right now. Frames are dropping a little bit. Every little while I get this little interruption fuzz, but when it's going well, it's going really well. I'm like, holy shit, I'm almost forgetting I'm streaming a game. I would say it's a 7 out of 10 experience. If this is first party proprietary Sony hardware, and this works really, really well, if this streaming experience is substantially better than what we get if you download the Remote Play app or you do it on your Steam Deck, right? I could see this being pretty cool, honestly. Again, you're talking to one of the biggest PlayStation Vita fanboys in the world. Do I want the next Sony handheld for real? Of course I do. But I'm still kind of interested in this.
It's funny, John. I was seeing a lot of comments online and some in groups that we're in on social media, and I just didn't want to engage because I was like, I feel like everyone's missing the boat here. This is not meant to be a Sony handheld. This is not meant to compete with the Nintendo Switch. They own the market. This is not meant to compete with the Steam Deck. It's not that. And to a degree, I mean, IGN had an article out today where it was 11 ways that you can play that are comparable to Project Q already. I'm like, yeah, maybe. This is different. I don't think we need to be overhyped for this. I think we just need to see it for what it is. John, you are right. If this is a first-party proprietary thing that works really well, then damn, I want that.
I'm interested.
You're gonna have a child. I've got kids. We walk around the house. That's what we're going to play on. So and there's PS5 exclusives that I'm gonna want to play that I cannot play on my Steam Deck or my Switch. I'm fine with this. My gosh, give me anything that resembles the DualSense.
Yes, please. And it has full DualSense functionality. It is literally like somebody chopped a DualSense in half and just sandwiched a screen in there. It looks a little silly. Whatever, it's fine. It's going to be comfortable. It fits like the DualSense. Two things for me. Is it a substantially better streaming experience than we can currently get right now? Because right now, like I said, we're at about a 7 out of 10, and that's not great when it comes to like, you know, trying to enjoy a video game. So if that experience truly is better because it's Sony hardware, awesome. Price matters for me on this one. Usually, I'm kind of like, if I love something, I'm ready to fork out whatever I need to for it. Price matters for me. This can't be. And I'm worried about that aspect of it because Sony has been a little bullish with pricing lately. I mean, you know, in some things they've been not bad with, but I could see this coming in at like a I don't know, a 349 worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That's got to be worst case scenario, and even that's like that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
If they could,
I think can you get me to 199?
100%. Yes, if you could have got, dude, oh my god, like in a dream world, a 149, not going to happen, but like if you can get to 199, you've got a product, which is I think it's unlikely, and which is why I think this thing probably flops, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll see. Again, we could be in a world where, you know, maybe they price it out of range and they realize that it's a problem. They drop the price, and then it becomes something that people pick up because, you know, it's on sale and it's cheaper and it's a cool product. I don't know. I think they might be a little too bullish out of the gate with the pricing because it just kind of seems like the Sony that's kind of around right now. But
Yeah.
I'm interested in it. I'm interested. I'm not just gotta have perspective. This isn't they're not saying that this is the future of handheld gaming, right? Like they're not saying that this is how games are played nowadays. This is for you. This thing's never supposed to leave your house. Like, can it probably play remote play off of the network? Maybe. I don't know. Who cares? This is supposed to be for you when your TV is occupied. That's what it exists for.
This is not a successor to the Vita. I think people were lost in that really quick. It's just not. We need to know what it is. And it's exactly like you said. It's not meant to leave the house. So I hope it works really well. If you can get me to the 199 price point, I'm going to occupy it.
I'm trying it.
Past that.
Yeah, past that, I got to hear some glowing reviews. Like, this is like zero latency, no hiccups, like the best streaming experience that's ever existed. Like, that's what I need if it's not 199, which I don't think it will be. But exciting for me just because it gets new stuff to play with. I love new stuff. I love handhelds. I love that. You know, I've got Switches near me. I got a freaking pile of Joy-Cons. I love handhelds, okay? Good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Next thing we got was more hardware. PlayStation earbuds. That's pretty sweet. Some wireless PlayStation earbuds. Yeah, why not?
I'm kind of stoked about that. I got to tell you. All right, so the joke in our Geekiverse chat, I had an iPhone. I went away from the iPhone for a bit. I'm back on the iPhone, a year and a half later. I have Galaxy Buds, the Galaxy Buds 2. Those are really good. Like, the bass in them, big fan. So, what am I getting at? I'm open to any sort of earbud. I want to hear what it looks like. I want to hear what they talked about, lossless audio. There's a few things going on with what they mentioned in that presentation. I don't know. I don't need these.
No,
like, you could literally hook up any headset.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
I don't need these.
I kind of like the idea of them still.
Here's the thing: if I didn't already own a PlayStation headset, the one you're literally wearing right now for the PlayStation 5, I would probably pick these over those. I would probably go with the buds because it's like, yeah, let's try something new. They're more convenient to have buds in to begin with, like than over your headset, being able to pop one out, stuff like that. But let's backtrack a little bit. Josiah, you are now on Team iPhone. Have you used AirPods?
No.
Oh my God. It is the most magical product that Apple has made since the iPhone. The AirPods are so good. If you're looking for an excuse to try some new headphones, get a pair of AirPods Pro. Like, not these are the Max. The Max are like the over the ear, right? So I would not recommend these at their price point. I got these for like almost free. I love them, but like I wouldn't buy them for $550. AirPods Pro, even just regular AirPods, I would go with the Pros. Dude. Oh my God, like transformative experience when it comes to like listening to audio. The audio is good, great bass, stuff like that. For an earbud, it's good. The ease of use with those things is silly. How cool they work, how quick they work. You pop one out, it transfers from stereo to mono. Like, dude, get some AirPods, man. Don't buy these for your iPhone. Get some AirPods.
No, totally understand. Those would not be for my iPhone, the PlayStation ones, but I got the Galaxy Buds, I want to say maybe about a year and a half ago, obviously deep into the Samsung at that point. I I think a lot of the things you're mentioning, they do fine, but like there's something about that bass quality.
Yeah.
However, I do need to try AirPods at some point, so I imagine that will be the upgrade down the line.
I think, yeah, I think you're gonna love them. And like that statement you just made, like, yeah, they do those things fine. The AirPods do those so insanely well that it just blows you away. It's like, how does this work so well? Like, I just set them. Like, I know you kind of really only have an iPhone. You're not a Mac user, iPad user. That part of it's insane. Just to like be able to switch audio between devices, things like that. But spatial audio, like head tracking audio, lossless, like, oof, AirPods are dope, dude.
Yeah, good stuff.
For sure. But excited for these PlayStation Buds. I don't know if I'll ever own them. I've said that about a lot of things. I said that about this Nintendo Switch that's in front of me right now, right? We all know.
And he owns 3 of them. It's crazy.
I don't own 3 of those. Do I own 3 copies of Zelda Special Edition? No, I don't. I sold one of them to Trevor.
Oh, Trevor, what a pal. Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited for him. Again, another thing will be price point. Let's see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Probably going to be out of my range for what I want to spend on those, but
yeah,
I love these. It's fine.
It's more hardware in the PlayStation 5 family. We knew it would happen. And I got to say, man, they've been kind of knocking it out of the park with like the hardware surrounding the PS5. The design's been cool. Products look sleek. Even something as simple as like the controller dock, like they're just making really cool stuff that like accessorizes and completes your PS5 experience. So happy to see this stuff. Excited way more so for the streaming portable thing, Project Q. But we'll see. They closed the show out.
That dock, by the way,
yeah,
is the MVP of my house with my 85 DualSense 5.
Yeah,
like, oh my gosh,
it's so good. You are never without a charge. It's good.
For sure.
And like and I'm always like, you know what? Which one haven't I cycled through in a while? Let's throw the God of War one on there. It's been a minute. Just like pop through.
Exactly my mindset.
Awesome.
Dude, talk about what we closed the show with.
So we closed the show. At this point, I really didn't know what to expect. Because I'm like, dang, dude, are they just going to save Spider-Man for a state of play? Because that's a known quantity. Are they going to try to wow us with something new here? We get this trailer. It starts off in the jungle. And I have like this half a thought. I'm like, could it be Kraven? Would they really show Spider-Man this way? I don't think so. This is weird. I don't know what this game is for a little while. And then you get to the point where Kraven, they're talking about a hunt, and I'm getting more and more of a hunch. Like, okay, seems like Kraven. Still a weird way to show Spider-Man. And they're like, how about a new hunting ground? And they show Manhattan. And I'm like, okay, there it is. There's Spider-Man. Cool way to show the game off. Because like, if you have such a known quantity, such a no doubter, toy with us a little bit. Have us questioning whether or not it actually is Spider-Man. I thought that worked.
For a second, I was like, is this Black Ops 5?
Dude, I was thinking Far Cry for a little while. I'm like, are they going to close this show with freaking Far Cry, dude? No way.
For a solid 30 seconds, I was so mad. I was like, you got to be kidding me right now.
If I see an Activision logo.
I was like, so help me if this is not Spider-Man right now.
Yes.
It was funny because Daisy was watching it with me, and I basically was like, listen, they're going to show Spider-Man at some point. It's going to be great. And we got there, and I'm like, Daisy, I don't think they're showing Spider-Man. Thank goodness that was not it.
When I was in my doubt period, I'm like, are they going to do this whole one more thing after the one more thing? I'm like, okay, they're going to show us this new game, which this might be, and then they're going to surprise us with Spider-Man. Are they going to get that weird about it? Like, I'm really starting to rack my brain about what the hell's going on in this press conference at this point. Yeah. But alas, we see the map of New York. We see Miles. We see Pete. We see the Lizard, stuff like that. Dr. Connors, and we head to Queens, which is where we see. Man, I did not expect to be just dropped in the middle of this Venom storyline. So
no, same.
Right. So Peter is shown off. He's surrounded in the symbiote. He's got the symbiote, the black suit, and he is angry. He's an angry elf, man. I've watched that trailer 3 times now, kind of just to get myself familiar with it, kind of figure out what's going on with Spider-Man. Dude, Yuri Lowenthal killing it. So obviously something different, something wrong with Pete. Really, really cool thing to see there. So we see Pete with the symbiote suit. He's fighting the Kraven's Hunters guys, showing off all these new symbiote abilities. Such cool stuff. Slamming people, 4 people at a time. Some straight up Groot out of Guardians of the Galaxy slams going on there. Looking like a blast. And then we get the question answered. How are we going to do this? How is this a Peter and a Miles story? We get the Oh, he's uptown. I got Miles. This one's on you. Press square to switch to Miles. Heck yeah, dude. That's going to be
Yeah,
so
perfect.
cool. Yep. That's the way to do it.
That's what I was hoping for that. And I got really stoked once we were on Miles. Some of the stuff towards the end of that trailer, like that was all really. That looks like a really, really fun gameplay sequence. I can't wait to actually get my hands on it and think back to this press conference. But towards the end, I think so Miles is talking to his version of the guy in the chair, Ned. What is his name? I
Genki.
forget. Yes. And I think Genki says something to the effect of, "Is he often like that?" And he goes, "He's never like that." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, where are we going with this story?"
Yes.
So I cannot tell you, and we've gushed about it, how much I adore 2018 Marvel Spider-Man. The story, the gameplay, all of it, like it's on the level of the Arkham series for me for superhero video games. Miles Morales is right there with it as well from 2020. This has all the makings of culminating those two games and being the Arkham City to those games, just like Jedi Survivor was to Jedi Fallen Order. Cannot wait for this. Cannot wait.
I think it is, not only is, but has to be, and I think it really will be a bigger leap than those examples you just gave right there. Because
That's saying a lot.
Because I think those examples are like, this game's really good, and they take all of those things within that formula that already exists and perfect them. I think this is like going to add a new layer to what Spider-Man is. Having Miles and Pete, I think, is really going to kind of change what's going on here. It's going to give the world, it's going to give New York, and the fact that we get to play in Queens, a whole new area, different vibe. It's like this suburb like vibe. Like, that's going to be really fun. But switching between Miles and Pete, and the faith I have in Insomniac to like pull that off really, really well, and to make that make sense in the middle of gameplay, to make that make sense in story pacing, right? I think this is going to be like a huge step forward and like a statement piece for like, this game is not good. The Spider-Man games aren't good. They're not even just great. This game's a masterpiece, and I think that we have potential for that here.
Dude, this game could hit a 10 out of 10. Like, it could be a thing.
What is going on with this year? We have Jedi Survivor. We have Hogwarts Legacy. We have Tears of the Kingdom. We have RE4. We have Dead Space. Bro, and now we have Spider-Man. Again, we knew it was coming, of course, but like just to see it and to put, I don't know, any context to what this game could be, it's scary.
So, John, I felt like this game was destined for September. It said fall 2023. Could be the big release right around November, just like Miles was at the PS5 launch. Let's say it's November. It's the big holiday game. You mentioned all those games, but we have that. We go back a year, just within 1 year. We also got God of War Ragnarok. Like
Horizon,
one of the greatest games of all time.
Right. Yes, for sure. For sure.
Like, what?
Yes. Dude,
what is going on? Like, this is like my dream 12 months for video games.
And that's just us. Guess what didn't work for you and I, or what we didn't even try because it's not our cup of tea? Freaking Elden Ring, which is like legendary at this point as like one of the best modern games of all time, right? Like,
or Final Fantasy 16, which looks great, or this is not the same level of quality here, but the Suicide Squad, even like
stuff that's up our alleys. Like, it's just it's a good time to be us.
Yes, like this is good luck topping this. And you mentioned it just in kind of a text conversation. It was, hey, what if we did like a some sort of ranking of the best video game years of all time? Like, I can't wait to see what you and I come up with when we do that. Like, that's going to be a blast. I want to put some thought into that.
Yeah,
but
I almost think
it's going to be hard to beat this year.
Yeah, I think we do that. Like, we're doing a little brainstorming here on stream on recording. I think we almost just do that as like a live recorded brainstorming session. I think we kind of just bring all the options to the table. We kind of talk about like, here's all the years. What do we want? How do we want to do this? Like, what kind of tournament or ranking style do we put them through? I think that would just be fun to like get those ideas out all in one episode or one stream or whatever. That could be a blast.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. That could be cool. But yeah, just super lucky. Spider-Man 2. I will drop everything to play that game. That's going to be great. in the meantime, we're enjoying some Zelda and a little bit of Star Wars, and of course, I'm going back to RE4 as soon as I get a second to breathe here. So
Yeah.
just good times around.
It is, man. So again, we go through that list. We talk about that showcase. That's a good showcase. That's good. That's better than
It's
fine.
fine.
That's
Totally.
I was just about to say it's better than fine. That's a good showcase, right? Like that. That's nothing to bat your eyes about. But
If you take away, it's hard,
the
right, to do this.
expectations,
But if you take away expectations, it is a good, solid showcase.
yes.
A lot of these games, John, look good.
Oh, we
I
forgot
would
to
love
mention.
to
Yeah, we forgot
play
to
these
mention
games.
something really really cool. What was it? Hold on. What was that samurai game? Which like it
Oh,
was something zero. Oh, we forgot about two things. Yes. Phantom Blade Zero. That game like had the second longest showing I think behind Spider-Man. That like they played that game for a while. Yeah, Phantom Blade Zero. It's
is
like
that the samurai game?
yes,
So that definitely, obviously, had Tsushima vibes, and I was
yes,
like,
but
oh
but
man,
more action heavy, like quicker. Like Ghost of Tsushima is this like methodical samurai game. This was like a badass third person action game, and like this samurai game looks fun to play. Like the way they're
yeah.
stringing together these attacks, like the quickness at which stuff is happening, like really not your Star Wars Jedi or your Ghost of Tsushima type combat, more your like Fury, quick fire. Like I can see myself getting lost in how quick and how like rhythmic that combat could be. It looks super cool. That's a new. I looked a little bit into that. So apparently, Phantom Blade is a property that exists. This is a small developer. The Phantom Blade series is a mobile game series, and it's been super successful, especially overseas. And I guess he was approached by PlayStation to take this IP and make like a full-fledged third-person AAA action game, and he's been working on it for a while. And like this is, his basically debut console AAA title game. So that's always a fun story.
It looks really good. Like if it's anything like what we saw there, and I think you could also say like, yeah, it's got the Tsushima vibes, but more action heavy. Like there's some Jedi vibes in there too. Like
Sure.
all of it just looks like if that executes well, that could be a surprise hit of the conference.
For sure. One to look out for. Even if it's not for us, I think you're going to see some positive, impressions on that game for the people that it is for. I'm always interested
For sure.
to check out games like that where the gameplay just looks so like clearly fun. And one more we missed. So, Sword of the Sea from Giant Squid. So the guys behind Journey and Abzu and stuff like that. This looks like a spiritual successor to Journey. Like
It
this,
does. I thought it was Journey 2 at first. I
100%.
was like,
100%. Yep. And then I think we saw the gameplay. Then we saw Giant Squid. I'm like, oh, it's Journey 2. And then we see a new title. So that's cool to see. I'm always interested in their stuff. I didn't play. I didn't have a PS3 at the time, but obviously Journey was a huge like cultural. It was one of those first like huge indie blockbusters, like those indies that really took the world by storm, like your Limbos and like whatever your Braids, like Journey was in that grouping. Like it really took some people's breath away, and I think Giant Squid has lived up to that pedigree with everything they put out since then. So that's a big one for sure. Sword of the Sea is a big one.
yeah, I think you're right. I'm glad we touched base on that. Art style is beautiful. Looked very much like some of the games you just mentioned there. It was always the argument like, hey, video games are art. Journey was always at the forefront or a part of that conversation at least. So if this one can do anything close to the semblance that did, then that will do well for this.
For sure.
So it's another game where I'm like, that sounds cool. I probably will not, unfortunately, get to it unless it's a PS Plus game.
Yeah, right.
Just knowing my own habits at this point in my life. But it'll be popular for a bunch of people, I'm sure.
No doubt. So yeah, that's a wrap on the PlayStation showcase. That we talked about the expectations. Again, good showcase. There's really cool stuff in there with the expectations that we had, with the stuff that was missing. The PlayStation studios that we know that they're working on stuff. A lot of the stuff that we didn't see, it makes it disappointing for us, but I'm still happy. I'm still happy to get new announcements and to be talking about some video games.
John, this might be a little off the cuff. Do we want to make another? We got to settle the first one, but do we want another pizza bet based on when Spider-Man's coming out?
Oh man, what are you thinking? Are you thinking a delay? Are you thinking about just like a specific month or something like that? What's your thoughts here?
So I'm disappointed, if not taken aback, that they did not commit to a date.
Okay.
Who's to say in a few weeks they don't just say, hey, it's coming out this day, right? And then we forget about all of this. I'm looking at the calendar. So Friday, we've got November 17th, Friday, November 24th. I don't know. November's in my head because they didn't commit to a date. Do we want to build a bet around a before and after date or not? We did that with Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
Like and that got delayed a long shot.
Yeah, it sure did. Indefinitely. We don't even. That game could get canceled. That game might not come out. There's a chance.
Right. Like, they might be like, "What are we doing here?"
That's a second pizza bet. Does Suicide Squad come out?
Yeah. Double or nothing. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you want to do one for Spider-Man or
my problem with that is I just don't know, because like I'm confident that it's this year. So if you were talking about like maybe not being confident that it was this year, I'd be with you. But I'm
not there.
So I have no clue whether September, October, November.
So we that's fair. We could table this. We don't. The thing with Suicide Squad was
there was a date.
Said, here's our dates, right? Like they didn't even say this is September 2023. They just said fall. So like you and I think both feel like fall is going to happen.
Yeah, I think so.
3 months. So all right. Well, maybe we'll circle back. We'll see.
Yeah, that could be fun as we get closer. Maybe they pick a date that one of us doesn't feel like is going to happen or something like that. We'll come back to it. But yeah, right now I could see it being September 1st to November 30th. Like I have no clue.
So we're gonna wait then. We'll do that. We'll come back to it.
Love it.
So yeah, that's the PlayStation Showcase here. A solid overall performance, if not disappointing, from the standpoint of not getting some of the things that we know are in the works and some of the things that we would like to believe are in the works. So tell us your thoughts here on social media, whether that's youtube.com/thegeekiverse, streaming live at twitch.tv/thegeekiverse, or of course listening on podcast services around the globe. John, before we wrap up here, I think we're going to get to a mini episode within an episode of Guess the Game. So you and I have had a good last few weeks, if only because we got it on the very last question each. But it's my turn this week. So if you've got a game in mind and if you want to set the table for the audience, the stage is yours.
I do. I have a game in mind. Let me pull up the Wikipedia page again, like always, so I make sure I can get the answers correct to the questions you're asking. But yeah, it's simple. We've got 15 questions. More specifically, you've got 15 questions, yes or no only, and you've got to guess the game. So Josiah, are you ready to guess the game?
I'm ready.
All right, let it rip.
I'm going to start with, did this game release on current gen systems? So was this game did this release after the start of the Xbox Series X and or PS5 generation?
No, it did not.
Did this game release for the PS4/Xbox One generation?
It did not.
Is this game exclusive to one of the major console providers, PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo?
It is not.
Did this game release during the Xbox 360/PS3 generation?
Yes, it did.
Is this game considered a shooter?
I would not classify this game as a shooter in a traditional sense.
Is this game a part of a franchise, meaning it's got sequels at some point?
Yes.
All right, question 7. Is this game Alan Wake?
No, it's not.
Can you kill people in this game?
Yeah, you can do that.
Is this an open world game?
Yes.
Is this a game developed by a Bethesda studio?
No, not a Bethesda studio.
Is this game considered an RPG?
No.
Is it multiplayer focused?
No.
Is this game Batman Arkham Origins?
It is not Batman Arkham Origins.
Dude, I have no idea. Oh, I'm going to blow this one. Is this a Star Wars game?
It's not a Star Wars game.
To your knowledge, is this a game I've played?
Yes. You've got one final guess. You have to name a video game.
I have nothing else, and I think it contradicts some of the things on the list, but I'm just going to because I have to guess a game. Is this Dead Island?
It's not Dead Island. Josiah, I'm going to...
That's multiplayer focused.
Is it really?
I would say. I
wouldn't have said
co-op.
that.
Co-op was big when it came out.
I wouldn't have gone with focus, though. It's still like a single-player campaign and stuff. I know that they touted it, but like...
I feel like that was so big when it came out, but...
I would have... Yeah, I would have been on the line there.
Okay.
So, Admiral Norman, I will say that you're actually wrong, too. You were very close, but you were wrong as well. Um, I'm not just gonna give you this one. I'm asking you a
I was
couple
gonna
of
say,
questions.
give me some stuff here.
Josiah, what's the best selling game of the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era?
I don't know.
Come on. The best
No,
selling game. What no, I'm sorry. Let's rewind. What's the best selling game of all time?
Minecraft.
What's right behind that?
I don't know.
Could-
I don't know.
Best selling games of all time, multiple
Oh,
platform.
GTA?
Grand Theft Auto.
Not even on my radar whatsoever.
Now, now Joe, if you would have guessed GTA 5, I was planning on you being wrong because that wasn't even the right answer.
I wouldn't have said GTA 5 though. I would have said GTA 4 thinking 360 era.
Well, I mean 5 was 360 era as well. That's
Right, but I don't at all consider that even though it was.
Gotcha. So
It was what, 2013, right? GTA 5?
Yes.
Had to be. It
Correct.
was like a year before.
Correct. For clarification,
Okay.
for the record, the answer was Grand Theft Auto 4.
So interesting. So GTA in general, not on my radar.
Dude,
Silly, I know.
When you asked, can you kill people in this game? I'm like, oh, he has it. Next question. I thought in my head, I'm like, okay, next question will be, is it GTA 5? I'll say no. He'll get 4.
I was not close to being on the path, dude. The first three. So of the first 4 questions, all I knew was it wasn't exclusive and that it was 360 era. Okay, right, and then not classified as a shooter. Yes. Totally out of my. I'm thinking fantasy at this point.
Yeah,
that's why I went on the Bethesda.
so tough. It's so tough.
Like I got fixated on that.
I don't know what's worse, just saying no, or giving you a little bit of elaboration. I don't know what's worse for you.
I don't know that it makes a difference, to be honest. And then like franchise game, whatever. And then my 7th question was not Alan Wake, so I was nowhere to be found here. But funny enough, I can like definitively say, if I got on the GTA path, I would not have said 5.
Interesting.
So that means nothing.
No, that's fun though, because I thought that was like we said
thought you were gonna get me, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Because we say we're not here to mess. Like that's not messing with you. I just
No.
I would have thought the most popular. I think of GTA 5 as a 360 game. That's where I played.
I don't at all. I played it on Xbox One.
Not at all.
I
bought it at launch. I went to the midnight release. I played that single player game, beat it, played a little bit of online, and like barely ever went back to GTA. That's funny.
Crazy that like it could run on the 360 to me.
Yeah, what? I mean, it was like it was one of the first games that like you needed to install it on the disc. You could not run it off or on your hard drive. You could not run it off the disc on that genre.
Interesting.
Yeah, like there was no option. Like you weren't allowed to just pop in the disc and press play. You had to do the install for the 360 and the PS3. So you needed like a big hard drive.
Makes sense because that was a humongous game. I played it on Xbox One pretty much at release. I would say maybe a little after.
So you didn't play this game like at launch on 360? Oh man, I would have thought you would for sure would have played it.
And I played very little of GTA 4.
Okay.
Like very little. I tried a few times and just got nowhere. When GTA 5 happened, I was like, this is my chance. And it was when it was on Xbox One. But funny, like the multiplayer question could have been a trip up point too if I played, because like that's a big part of it. I feel like GTA 5, not 4.
Right, but 4 had it.
Could have gone down that path.
4 was the first one to have multiplayer. Like there were some aspects, but even 5, like yes, it has like a big component of it. But like, is GTA 5 a multiplayer game today? Yes, like that's the only reason people are still playing GTA 5. But like, that's a tough one because that's
real tough.
That's almost 50-50. Like it's almost like that's 2 games. Like GTA 5, the campaign was like a profound moment in the gaming industry, right? Like that was an achievement on many levels. And then,
so good.
And then online, like still is a thing. So that would be a really, really tough one.
Yeah. Interesting. Well played, John. I was not at all on the path to that one, so
tough.
Kudos there.
Yeah, I can ridicule all I want, but I've been there. I've been frozen like that, where it's like I have no freaking clue, man.
Yeah, it's all good. It happens. So we'll figure it out. We'll see what happens next week. Before we wrap up this episode of Busy Sticks, we've got something fun happening this weekend. John, it's been a while. You know, we do one or two of these a year, so it makes sense. But
Yeah.
what are we doing Saturday?
We're live streaming. We're live streaming. Not only
Yeah.
just live streaming, we're live streaming for a good cause. So you, Tim, our good friend Derek, you guys are taking the ice. When is the event? When is the actual hockey game?
So for us, we are taking the ice for the 11-day power play, which is an 11-day long continuous hockey game in Western New York. We are doing a 3-hour shift for Team Bank on Buffalo, and that is June 30th. So
Okay,
a
so
little
it's
over a month away.
It's in June, right? So you guys you're participating in the 11-day power play. It's an 11-day long hockey game, and the point of it is to raise money for incredible causes. So the tagline is to put cancer on ice. So you've got O'Shea's Children's Hospital, you've got Roswell Park, you've got all of the best of the best with cancer research here in Buffalo and Western New York area. It's all an effort to raise money for them. You guys are playing hockey in the name of that, but the goal is to raise money around that cause, right? So you've got a team, you want to raise money, you want to bring something to it. That's what this stream is all about. We're going to be this Saturday, the 27th, right? So 2 days from now. Yep. So this Saturday, May 27th, we're going to stream. What hours do we set? We're doing like an 8-hour stream. We're going from noon to 8 is the goal. Noon to 8.
Yeah, we said 12 to 8 for this one.
All day, basically, right? From noon all day. I'm sure we'll go a little later, start a little earlier based on how things go. But yes, we're streaming all day, and the goal is to raise money for this cause. It's going to be a blast. We hope you can stop by, drop a few bucks if you can. If you can't, that's awesome. Just share the stream. Just get the word out. It's going to be a blast. But again, it's for an awesome cause.
So can't wait to do that. Some of those streaming events are some of my favorite memories in general with what we've been able to do and literally just hanging out all day, playing video games. What's crazy for this one, we've got some special guests. We've got Brian Duff from the Buffalo Sabres broadcast. You know him from In Between.
Who I know is a big Andrew McMahon fan. I'm sure he was at the concert last night. I was looking for him. I was trying to find him, but I know he's a big fan. So I'm sure he was hiding out somewhere.
I'm sure he was. But yeah, he's a part of the Sabres broadcast every game night. Such a fan of his, and I'm so excited to talk to him for the first time. Derek hooked that up for us. And we've also got Pat Malacaro, who does the Sabres post game. And he's also the play-by-play for the Buffalo Bisons. Pat is playing on our team. So very exciting to talk to both of those guys for what is really just an outstanding cause. Like John mentioned, some of the charities and companies that this is going to, we're going to be Roswell Park, Camp Good Days, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Western New York, which is near and dear to us as we do that every Christmas for Geeks Give Back, and a few others that I'm sure we'll revisit on Saturday. I'm playing in the name of my Aunt Sue McGee, and everyone that plays in the event typically has someone that they've got on their mind. So she'll be on mine for that. Can't wait to hang out with Derek Kramer, and of course my buddies over here in the Geekiverse, John and Tim. We'll have a few more shenanigans throughout the day, as I'm sure we always do. But yeah, tune in. That's going to be Facebook Live, so facebook.com/the Geekiverse. And of course, as always, you can watch our episodes back at youtube.com/the Geekiverse. Live every episode on twitch.tv/the Geekiverse, and you can listen on podcast services wherever you may download podcasts around the globe. So for this episode of Busy Sticks, for John, I'm Josiah. We will catch you all Saturday. Have a good next few days.